Derek Carr just said something absolutely insane about the Raiders. And it also looks like Tom Brady is completely inevitable, 100% coming to Vegas. And despite the lies all over mainstream media, Derek Carr will likely not be traded. So we know Derek Carr has not said much. He had his long goodbye on social media about a week ago, thanking Raider Nation and just saying, hey, I'm sorry it had to end this way, but
thank you for the good times.
And then we saw Derek Carr speak at Church LV and talked about his faith and only made a few comments about the Raiders. And for the most part, it seemed like he would take the higher road, despite the fact that his family seems to want to fight for him on social media and on television. And he even had David Carr, his brother, allude to the fact that they're going to come out with the podcast talking about
what really happened with the Raiders.
But deep down, the Carr family knows it's not strategic to talk about the situation with the Raiders right now. Derek Carr will be on a new team next year, and according to Adam Schefter, there are a lot of suitors. However, there is still this narrative that Derek Carr is going to be traded, even though we have David Carr making comments sounding like, damn, they are not going to do the Raiders any favor.
Mark Davis tried to trade me once. It didn't work out. See how it works out for him with my brother.
And the fact of the matter is the Raiders have to release or trade Derek Carr by February 15th. If they don't, he becomes fully guaranteed for the Raiders, and they'll be on the hook for them. And Derek Carr has zero incentive to be traded. He has a no trade clause and could just say no to every trade and get the exact same contract any team would offer him via trade
in free agency.
So anybody talking about trade stuff right now is totally ignorant of Derek Carr's relationship to the Raiders right now. Or they're just Raider fans who are wishful, thinking that Derek Carr will help the Raiders out for some stupid reason. Some believe that Derek Carr would want to trade because he would retain his same contract. But any team willing to pay for that contract would just pay for it
in free agency.
It does not take a genius to figure that out. And the Carr family is definitely sour on the Raiders. How else would David Carr already seem to know that Tom Brady is going to be on the Raiders?
The Raiders will have a new quarterback. Maybe it's Tom Brady. That was exciting, right? You guys enjoyed that the other day? That'd be fun. You guys do great.
Not only did David Carr make that comment on Harvester Sports, but he also said on social media that Brady will assuredly play for the Raiders next year. How else can this guy be so sure? How is he able to make this statement unless he knows something is going on behind the scenes? And perhaps this something that is going on behind the scenes is exactly what Derek Carr is being quiet about and taking the high road on. But David Carr seems to know something is up, and it seems like he wants to tell a story, but he's being held back by Derek Carr. This is also due to the fact that Derek Carr is going to have to negotiate in free agency for a new team. And that is why Derek Carr went to social media to make this insane comment that says so much about his relationship with the Raiders. Excuse me, are you one of the 60% who are
still not subscribed to this channel?
Make sure you subscribe to this channel so we can keep making more content for you. He says, thank you to all the people reaching out, trying to give me their platform to tell my side of what happened. This means that hella people are hitting him up saying, Derek, we want to hear from you. And it's the hardest thing in the world to not jump on every interview. And this is the key thing right here. And tell the whole truth. Thank you, but I'm choosing to move on and give our next city the best.
Wow.
See, this is what woke me up in the morning. This made me just think, wow, everything we've been saying on here seems to be at least a little bit valid. We've talked about how Josh McDaniels has seemed to have sabotaged Derek Carr. We've talked about how it seemed like they did not want him from the start. We talked about the play calling, the crazy historic losses, Josh McDaniels breaking the single season record and giving up double-digit leads at halftime. Historic. No franchise in a single season has given up bigger leads than Josh McDaniels. We talked about how it's all suspect. The fact that Derek Carr has had his worst year since 2014, his rookie year. How the hell is Derek Carr better with Todd Downing than Super Bowl champion Josh McDaniels? And Derek Carr is saying it's the hardest thing in the world not to jump on every interview and tell the whole truth. And tell the whole truth. That is the key phrase there. And tell the whole truth. That makes it seem like there's a portion of the truth that is not being completely laid out here. And like we said before, David Carr and the Carr family seemed like they were going to be quiet about the Raiders. But it wasn't until last week when he saw Hondo Carpenter release this story about Derek Carr, slandering his character, saying that he could not take criticism, saying that was the sole reason basically for the failure of the 2022 season. And it seemed like an article that is just trying to make the team and Josh McDaniels look great and pin everything on Derek Derek Carr. And simultaneously, you also had positive stories about Josh McDaniels on the Pat McAfee show, trying to make this snake actually look good for dipping out on the Colts job last minute. There's some random rumor where they're trying to blame Jim Irsay, the Colts owner, for the reason why Josh McDaniels dipped out on the job after accepting it in 2018, ruining the lives of many people who had actually signed contracts as assistant coaching positions for the Colts, assuming Genius Josh was going to be there. The media is pushing out stories just to make Genius Josh look good, even though we all witnessed that horrible season he had. And now Derek Carr is laying it out that there is a whole truth out there. There is much more that has not been said yet. We have not seen the full story, and Derek Carr believes, in his opinion, he is capable of telling the whole truth. And so for all those calling people conspiracy theorists because they're skeptical about the season, they don't blame everything on Derek Carr, they think Josh McDaniels is the main culprit here. Well, it seems like Derek Carr may agree he actually might be a conspiracy theorist too, because he thinks there's more to the story out there that has not been said yet. And the Raiders know they're not going to trade Derek Carr, in my opinion, or else they would not be putting out these negative stories in the media that just weaken and hurt Derek Carr's trade value and also free agent value. They know they're going to cut this guy. They know they're not going to get anything for him anyways. And if they make Derek Carr's character look bad, then it's going to hurt him in free agency, and it will make Josh McDaniels and the Raiders look even better and make it seem like, oh, they got rid of a guy who had a bad attitude. So that's why Derek Carr is likely trying to stay away from saying anything right now, trying to have that good free agency value. And if the Raiders really wanted to trade him, they would actually be putting out positive stories about Derek Carr to increase his value. Either way, this is a huge story. The Raiders are going to be moving forward, but this is historic. We are living in history. The franchise quarterback for the last 9 years is finally moving on. We'll keep you up to date on everything happening with the Raiders. Like this video if you have not yet, and subscribe to this channel for more Raiders content.